Pro Group Management. Workers' comp that works for you.
Welcome to Nevada Newsmakers, a hot show on tap today. Andy has the rundown.
Sam, this week marks the midpoint of the legislative session. In fact, lawmakers' pay stops on Thursday, and it's make it or break it this week for the Republican leadership. Can they get out those short-term taxes? Today we'll talk to Carole Vilardo, president of the Nevada Taxpayers Association, and find out which of those tax plans most affects your pocketbook. Sam?
Thanks, Andy. And coming up on the pundit panel today, Bob Crowell, Martha Gould, and Greg Ferraro. It's all coming up next on the all-new Nevada Newsmakers.
Nevada Newsmakers, brought to you in part by Charter Communication.
Today's lesson, another reason to take the Gold Rush Club Card Challenge. With the Gold Rush Card, you really have 3 cards in one. Use your cash back. You still keep your comps and drawing tickets. Use your comps. You still keep your cash and drawing tickets. And with your drawing tickets, you could win thousands in cold hard cash every week and still keep your cash back and comps. Does your club add up? Graduate to the Gold Rush Players Club. It's the smart thing to do. The Gold Dust West, south on Keystone, east on 4th.
Folks, you must see what's new in Virginia City. Ride the V&T train all the way to Gold Hill. Explore a mine, if you dare. Visit Piper's Opera House. Watch the gunslingers shoot it up on C Street. Shop in unique stores. Listen to honky tonk in the historic saloons. You can't see it all in one day, so spend the night. Virginia City, where the West comes alive. Come up and spend the night in our hotels, motels, and RV park.
When he was just a young boy, Ken Dillon laid back, looked up at the stars, and thought to himself, hey, this house could use a roof. Today, Ken Dillon's D&D Roofing and Sheet Metal offers a complete line of Firestone roofing products for any type of roof, from commercial to industrial and residential. With a Firestone roof from D&D Roofing and Sheet Metal, what's overhead stays overhead. Call Ken Dillon's D&D Roofing and Sheet Metal today for a free estimate. Yes, the technology sure has changed, but after all these years, Ken still enjoys playing with houses.
If you own a business and want to maximize your company's potential, join the Retail Association of Nevada. Our membership benefits include the Nevada Retail Network Self-Insured Group, providing workers' compensation coverage that can lower your rates. That savings can go directly to your bottom line. We are an effective pro-business organization that lobbies on behalf of our business members. The Retail Association of Nevada, protecting Nevada businesses for 35 years. Call 882-1700 to see what we can do for your organization.
This is Nevada Newsmakers with Sam Shad, political analyst Ande Engleman on No Holds Barred Political Forum. Now, from the News 4 Broadcast Center, here's Sam Shad.
Are you confused by all these different tax plans that are being proposed? Carole Vilardo is here. She's president of the Nevada Taxpayers Association, and hopefully she's not confused.
All right. Well, Carole, that's a good first question. Are you confused by all the various plans that are out there?
Well, I'm confused by trying to figure out what might pass and what might not. No, actually, I think most of the plans are pretty well defined, may not be well written, but relatively well defined.
Okay, when the governor made his State of the State address, he was looking for a sea change in the way Nevadans are taxed and just changing the whole structure. Mm-hmm. Is there any way that that's going to survive at this point?
You know, I'm not sure it will. The first axiom when you're dealing with taxes is that nobody wants to pay a tax per se, that most people accept the responsibility to pay taxes for the services that they feel should be provided. Once you name a tax that impacts somebody directly, they usually want no part of it, so they're pointing a finger at somebody else, and that's exactly what's going on right now with the packages. The big concern I have is that if you put a tax through, and we do need to do restructuring on the tax system, is that it's something that is relatively easy to administer and comply with. You don't want to spend a lot of your resources that you're generating in trying to get people to comply, or having the people that have to comply expend an inordinate amount of their dollars with hiring additional accountants, attorneys, to make sure they understand and that they're complying the way they should.
And that's what would happen with the governor's gross receipts tax, is that correct?
Well, at this point in time, in my opinion, the gross receipts tax was very poorly written. There are more unanswered questions about how the tax would apply than answers for those questions. You know, I'm getting calls from transportation companies now. Airlines. How are we going to be taxed under this? We do business in Nevada. We have a location in Nevada. Are you taxing us on just our flights that originate there, on our flights that stay within the state, or is it any flight and is it being apportioned out? Trucking companies, same thing.
Is there a discussion, because to the average person who's in business, which would include myself, I think in terms of, you know, if there's a tax that I can pass on to the customer, then at least I can keep it to where, or make the decision whether I want to pass that tax on to the customer or not. At least I have some degree of control there. But if it's just on the gross receipts, then I have no control whatsoever.
That is particularly true on gross receipts. It's a tax that's not based on the ability to pay, and that's true of the business tax. That tax is not based on the ability to pay either. The difference between the two of them...
the business license tax or the VAT
right,
tax.
the head tax,
right,
as it's known. The difference between the two of them is the fact that on gross receipts, I cannot project when I'm doing my budget potentially what my liability would be. So I may be paying that tax in an extremely unprofitable year, which is one of the most negative points that you can raise about the gross receipts tax. On the business tax, the head tax, I can project, I can budget. It may not be based on the ability to pay, but it's on an expense that I can control. And so I can budget specifically for it, which for business is a lot easier to deal with.
Now, all of these plans have a hike in the property tax.
Let me see. The proposal by Assemblyman Hetrick did not.
Did not, okay. So with the exception of that, and his plan was just to cover what the government needs, no expansion,
His
no
was the
extra
shortfall,
spending.
exactly.
Are you concerned about the inability to pass these short-term taxes to get us through the end of the year?
Not at this point. I don't mind admitting to being extremely confused to taking $136 million from the rainy day fund, which I think was appropriate, for what I thought was an $80 million shortfall this year, to give us some additional coverage, and now we still need the additional taxes. So I don't know in my own mind how I'm balancing this all out.
All right, I thought that the short-term taxes were to replenish the rainy day fund.
Well, but then in the governor's state of the state and in the budget, there's $50 million each year of the biennium to replenish it.
A mystery, perhaps an enigma. We'll take a break. We'll come back with Carole Vilardo right after this timeout.
CTX can help you negotiate your best deal. We've been your home team advantage for over a decade. Call us today because at CTX, local service still matters.
Yeah, with CTX. You're homeward bound.
When you sign up for Wells Fargo Free Checking, you get more than free checking. You get the freedom to bank when and where you want. Wells Fargo, the next stage.
Atlantis is cooking up a party. It's every diner's paradise. 7 award-winning dining choices. Experience the Atlantis Seafood Steakhouse tonight. Winner of Wine Spectator's Award of Excellence. The local choice for food and fun, Atlantis. Atlantis.
At Sushi Club, everybody's family. That's what makes dining here so much fun. The sushi is consistently better, the atmosphere is great, and the service is wonderful.
Welcome to the bigger and better Sushi Club. Come in for our delicious daily specials.
When you're talking sushi, you're talking Sushi Club in the Independence Square Shopping Center.
Walk into the Cactus Creek Bar and Grill at the Bonanza Casino, and you know you're in for a very special evening. Enjoy the southwestern atmosphere of some of the best gourmet food in Reno. It starts right here with Chef Bruce Norman and his talented staff. From buffalo T-bone to martini scampi and peppercorn duck. There's fine wine, specialty margaritas, and our pastry chefs create award-winning desserts. The Cactus Creek in the Bonanza Casino, 1 mile north of the university, where locals come to play.
And now, back to Nevada Newsmakers with Sam Shad and Ande Engleman.
And back on Nevada Newsmakers, everybody quiet in the studio at this point because Carole Vilardo is here. She's president of the Nevada Taxpayers Association. When Sam McMullen was on the program, he talked about how business was also in favor of upgrading the quality of life in the Silver State by trying to find ways to fund education, to take care of our senior citizens, all the other things that the governor talked about. He basically agreed with. Is business truly trying to find ways to make this sea change in the way we take care of our people in the state and get us off being 50th and everything?
Well, I have an issue with the 50th and everything, but be that as it may, yeah, I think it is, because if you're going to have a successful business, you have to have a climate where your residents are also successful so that they patronize your business. So it benefits everybody to have a stabilized economy, and one hopefully that's a very positive economy. Obviously, that's not what we're seeing right now. It's a national issue.
Well, Carole, as I understand it, our state is still collecting more taxes this year than it did last year. We're not collecting as much as they had hoped we would, but we are collecting more taxes. Why do we have a shortfall?
We have a shortfall because government loves to spend money. And so it looks historically at what the increases may have been, and it projects out for those increases, and it spends to projections, not to actual receipts.
Okay, I gotta ask you this. I mean, it sounds to me like you're saying that there's fat being written into these budgets. If we're going to cut these budgets, where do you cut? What do you take out? I mean,
I think you do things differently. And I don't know that you cut, but I'll give you a couple of for instances. Today, with data processing, with the availability of doing reports online, of getting money transfers online, now we've got multiple agencies that require reports and generate for the general fund over $1 million in tax revenue. Do you know we don't have one agency right now outside of DMV, and you know the trials and tribulations of Genesis, where you can go online and pay your bill and report? That is absolutely ludicrous. We have more people moving in, we have more businesses that are reporting. You should be able to file sales tax and business tax online. We never spend the money on the infrastructure we need to let government become more efficient. Should you
by saying efficient, you mean with less employees?
Well, you wouldn't need as many employees if you had automatic reporting online. You would save an entire step of data input on that. Allow you to use the money for that employee on data input on either improving a program that you're putting out or putting an employee to servicing the public where they need to. No, government has no reason to be efficient. There's not another government on the corner that if you or I don't like the way this one is operating, it's like we don't like the way our hair is being cut at a beauty parlor, we go to another one.
All right, how do we apply pressure?
Well, I think you've seen a little bit of that start in the comments made by Lynn Hetrick, who raised the issues of cuts. Do I think cuts are the absolute end-all panacea? No, I do not. You see that in Terry Kerr and Mark Amity's tax bill, where they have a series of recommendations that run from, if you have a vacancy in your agency for 12 months or longer, you will submit a report documenting why you have that vacancy so that it can be evaluated. I mean, if it's a person you need, then why haven't you been able to get them? And what do we need to do to get that person? And if it's somebody you've been able to operate without and your service hasn't suffered, why should you have the employee?
All right, Carole, and as an average taxpayer, all these different tax plans are out there. The gross receipts tax, the governor says that's only going to affect big business. And then there's this
You've seen a little bit of that start in the comments made by Lynn Hetrick, who raised the issues of cuts. Do I think cuts are the absolute end-all panacea? No, I do not. You see that in Terry Kerr and Mark Amity's tax bill, where they have a series of recommendations that run from, if you have a vacancy in your agency for 12 months or longer, you will submit a report documenting why you have that vacancy so that it can be evaluated. I mean, if it's a person you need, then why haven't you been able to get them? And what do we need to do to get that person? And if it's somebody you've been able to operate without and your service hasn't suffered, why should you have the employee?
All right, Carol, and as an average taxpayer, all these different tax plans are out there. The gross receipts tax, the governor says that's only going to affect big business. And then there's this tax on services with a $50 deductible that's floating around. Which of these taxes is going to affect my pocketbook the most?
Actually, probably the ones you don't directly pay, interestingly enough, in the property tax. If a property tax goes through, because that's very direct, that hits you on your home. The rates are not extremely high, but you will see that impact. Most people, if I give an answer like that, will say, well, you're wrong. It's got to be the sales tax or the amusement tax. The reason those might not affect me as much as the gross receipts, the price that I pay on that tax is an expense to me as a business. I'll roll it into my price. You will never see it. You might get mad at me because I've raised my prices and have no idea why. But that can be more onerous to you because you can't control what you're doing. You don't know how to control it. On sales and amusement tax, you have the option of what you spend at what level you spend. So you're able, in effect, to control to a degree what the impact is directly on you.
All right, Carol, 20-second answer on this. If I go to the bank for a loan, I need to say to them, this is how much I need, this is how I'm going to pay it back. I have to give them exact numbers. If I don't, they say, go out, come back with a business plan. Do we have a real business plan at this point for the state and how much money it needs?
The only thing that we have that I'm relatively comfortable with is the task force numbers on the shortfall, which was roughly $705 million.
What's the gap on the big picture?
$705 million over the biennium was the task force numbers.
Right, but what's the spread between what some people are saying we need and what others are saying we need?
Oh, Lord. It depends on whether you're talking about baseline essential.
Quick answer.
Essential, or if you're talking about all the enhancements.
So, huge difference.
You've got bills out there that would add another $1 billion.
So basically, we need to have a business plan before we can go ahead and figure out how to pay for it.
I think it would be nice.
Carole Vilardo has been with us. She's the president of the Nevada Taxpayers Association. It's always a pleasure to have you here. Thank you.
Thank you.
We'll be right back with the Pundits after this timeout.
Before you head to Carson, take care of yourself with a visit to Tamarack Junction. Catch a hot cup of coffee and the morning news on one of our 32 TVs and enjoy the best food in South Reno. Tamarack Junction, your junction for fun. South Virginia and Amati Ranch Parkway.
When he was just a young boy, Ken Dillon laid back, looked up at the stars, and thought to himself, hey, this house could use a roof. Today, Ken Dillon's D&D Roofing and Sheet Metal offers a complete line of elk roofing products for any type of residential roof. With an elk roof from D&D Roofing and Sheet Metal, what's overhead stays overhead. Call Ken Dillon's D&D Roofing and Sheet Metal today for a free estimate. Yes, the technology sure has changed, but after all these years, Ken still enjoys playing with houses.
We've loosened our machines. We've given you the Gold Dust West Gold Rush Club, Reno's best slot club. You can win lots of jackpots. Play longer. Your points will add up faster than you think. Yeah, we're loose and we're not screwing around. See you at the Gold Dust West, south on Keystone, east on 4th.
Folks, you must see what's new in Virginia City. Ride the V&T train all the way to Gold Hill. Explore a mine, if you dare. Visit Piper's Opera House. Watch the gunslingers shoot it up on C Street. Shop in unique stores. Listen to honky tonk in the historic saloons. You can't see it all in one day, so spend the night. Virginia City, where the West comes alive. Come up and spend the night in our hotels, motels, and RV parks.
Make your daily commute easy with breakfast or lunch at the Tamarack Junction. Enjoy daily specials, super fast service, and South Reno's freshest morning meals. Tamarack Junction, your junction for fun. South Virginia and Amati Ranch Parkway.
And now, back to Nevada Newsmakers with Sam Shad and Ande Engleman.
And back on Nevada Newsmakers, it's time to introduce our pundits for today. Martha Gould joins us. Her title today, Washoe County Democrat. Bob Crowell, who is an attorney, and Greg Ferraro, president of R&R Partners. I want to start out with a topic that's in the news today. Peter Arnett, who became famous in the first Gulf War for being the reporter left behind in Baghdad throughout the Troubles, reporting for CNN, got fired from CNN in an ugly incident which nobody has really taken responsibility for a couple of years ago, actually about 5 years ago now, on a documentary that he voiced, but was rehired again by MSNBC and NBC after he started working for National Geographic Explorer in Baghdad, and was fired today because over the weekend he gave an interview to Iraqi TV, and NBC was incensed, and I wanted your opinions. Martha, let's start out with you.
Well, I didn't see the interview, so I really can't comment, but he's not a reporter that I have ever had a great deal of respect for.
Why?
I don't know. He just rubs me the wrong way.
Okay, Bob?
Well, I didn't see the interview
He doesn't do
either.
his homework, I think. The way he's not...
He's in Baghdad.
I don't care where he is.
Bob.
Well, listen, you know, I didn't see Peter Arnett either, but I did read the column by George Will probably this weekend or just last week, and this is a war of choice, and people can disagree on whether this is the right time for the choice. But what I am heartened to see, and I don't know the particulars about Arnett, what I am heartened to see as being a Vietnam veteran is that I don't hear anybody who is not supportive of our troops overseas. Not a word. Despite how you might come down on whether this is the choice is the right or the timing is right, this country, I believe, is united behind its troops.
Absolutely. I couldn't argue about that at all.
I agree.
Okay, Greg?
12 years too late. Guy prostituted himself 12 years ago, and I think everybody knows
In
it.
what way?
He's a phony. He's a fraud. He's not a news reporter. He's a newsmaker.
He doesn't do balanced commentary,
But,
and
I mean,
I
you
don't
know,
think he does his homework.
The reason why he was fired is because he gave a brief interview over the weekend to Al Jazeera's TV.
It was actually Iraqi TV.
Or was it Iraqi TV, in which he said that he was framing his information that came to America in order to help those people who were protesting the war. I think that was legitimate grounds for NBC to fire him. I think they did the right thing.
I think it's interesting. I disagree with pretty much all of you on the fact that I think he's a good reporter.
But we're the majority and we prevail. You're wrong.
Well, you know, but
it's a democratic republic.
It is a democratic situation here, but at the same time, I think that Arnett apologized this morning on NBC television. NBC
And said that he should not have said what he said.
And I agree, but he did say something that I think that an awful lot of people are thinking, which is that the government is currently rethinking its war plans, that it didn't go in with the right plan at the right time, and is coming up with a different plan.
Stop the presses.
He didn't say a whole lot more than that on the air. Okay, let's change topics here.
Let's go back to Nevada, please.
Okay, let's get back. I just wanted to bring that up.
It's far more relevant.
Okay, well,
right, because
I don't know. You know, the war is kind of relevant as well, don't you think? I mean, depending on our economy.
I think whether a news reporter got fired in the context of this war is almost irrelevant.
What is relevant is the impact on the economy of the state that the war is going to have.
But at this point, what is the impact? Greg, you probably have a better handle on this than any of us.
Well, I think we're still trying to get our arms around it. I think your earlier interview also indicated that, you know, there's lots of decisions that have to be made over the course of the next 2 weeks and beyond, and we're still trying to understand how long those impacts are going to last. There's no doubt there's been an impact, but I think since 9/11, in this state, in the nature of our economy, we've seen a lot of what would fall off otherwise. And as we tried to step back out of the 9/11 aftermath, you know, people were still sensitized. And as this war buildup began, remember it began last fall, people started to tentatively reschedule or plan differently. And so the leisure traveler, I think, we've already experienced the loss and to some extent of leisure travel. It's the convention business now that's very, very important.
But
we're watching it closely.
we are seeing that people are tired of the war. They've got burnout and they're looking for vacation and relief, and people are scheduling vacations. They want to get away.
That may be that as it may. The bottom line is, if you look at what's happening in Carson City right now, and the cuts that are being discussed in the various tax proposals, go back to something that Carole said just a few minutes ago, that if you want to have a viable state that's going to thrive economically, then you have to have quality of life issues addressed. And so far, the cuts that I see coming down the pike impact the quality of life issues.
I couldn't agree with you more. Bob, you want to jump in here?
Well, you know, I've looked at I have a couple different hats. I have education hat and also represent a number of business interests. And I will tell you, I am very concerned that education come out of this session whole and intact. There's perhaps one area where I agree with, in a personal sense, with some of the moves on taxes, and that is, I think we ought to have greater class size flexibility issues. And if that saves money, that's fine.
Okay, Greg, I want to
say two things real quick.
Okay,
our strip numbers show people are still coming to Las Vegas, they're just not gambling as much.
Right.
Number one. Number two is, I think, to Martha's point, the key quality of life indicator in the state that we've got to do something about aggressively is education.
Okay, one question I got to ask you is that you've been working on behalf of gaming towards this gross receipts tax. Does it concern you that somebody of the stature of Carole Vilardo is only confident with raising short-term taxes and not looking at long-term taxes?
Well, I'm not sure I heard Carole say that, and I have a great deal of respect for Carole, but I think the debate is ensuing. We're going to decide how much money the state needs to raise. There's going to be considerable debate about enhancements or holding the line. I think it's going to be somewhere between 700 plus, and that debate still needs to happen. Finally, I think that the plan that the governor put forward, which was based on the task force report that Carole earlier acknowledged, is probably the best and soundest way to go forward.
You've got 5 seconds.
5 seconds is, and again, this goes back to something that Carole said, we are taking the Band-Aid approach. How many times have I said that?
Okay, that's it. We've heard it. We're taking a break. We'll be right back.
If you're talking sushi, you're talking Sushi Club. Year after year voted the best place for sushi. 11 chefs on staff to serve you. Better ingredients for consistent high quality. And lots of room, so bring your friends. Sushi Club in the Independence Square Shopping Center.
Feel it, the magic is everywhere. The action, the style, the food, the flair. Play with us, stay with us in Reno, say El Dorado. And live the excitement. Shining star, the excitement.
CTX can help you negotiate your best deal. We've been your home team advantage for over a decade. Call us today because at CTX, local service still matters.
Yeah, with CTX, you're homeward bound.
When you sign up for Wells Fargo free checking, you get more than free checking. You get the freedom to bank when and where you want. Wells Fargo, the next stage.
Atlantis is cooking up a party. It's every diner's paradise. Toucan Charlie's Buffet and Grill, consistently voted Reno's best buffet by locals. Experience the Mongolian barbecue, new Asian station, and sumptuous exhibition stations filled with fresh entrees, salads, and desserts. Try the Friday night seafood buffet and Sunday champagne brunch.
Atlantis.
Nevada Newsmakers, brought to you in part by Charter Communication.
Fascinating show today. Another one coming up tomorrow.
Yes, Sheila Leslie's going to talk about mining and the environment, and Jason Geddes is going to give us his impressions of the legislature.
And we also want to remind you that you can watch a rerun of this show every night at 9:30 on Charter Cable 12 here in Reno and Carson City and Sparks, and 19 in Douglas County, and catch all 4 episodes of Nevada Newsmakers on Sunday mornings starting at 9 a.m.
See you tomorrow.